Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at my Lightning Monk leveling build in Path of Exile 2. A build that so far has completely destroyed the normal Acts 1 through 3. In this video we will talk about the updates and changes I've done that carried me through the cruel difficulty on all 3 acts and get a little bit deeper into the Monk's rotation. What skills and support gems to go for, the gear and its stats, and of course the passive tree and ascendancy. If you're new to the channel and you're interested in trying out a monk, then this guide right here will help you get things started. Today's build is a continuation and update to this same build, which took me from Act 1 normal to finishing Act 3 in cruel difficulty. As we progress further into the game and closing into the endgame, things start changing and new potentials arise for the monk build. So make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel so you can stay tuned, as I'll be providing multiple Path of Exiles 2 builds and guides. And with that out of the way, let's begin. First things first, before we dive into the details, let's talk about the most important and crucial mechanic of the monk class: power charges. By now you're already in the cruel difficulty, so you should know what power charges are, but if you don't, then it's fairly simple. The monk has multiple ways to pick up power charges from enemies, using Killing Palm when they're about to die or Siphoning Strike when they're shocked. There are other additional superior ways to obtain charges, such as Profane Ritual and Combat Frenzy, but you'll need to at least finish up Act 1 to 3 in cruel difficulty before changing your build entirely to fully maximize those abilities. But don't worry about that, I'm gonna have you covered when the time comes with a brand new build. At the moment, our main resources for charges are Killing Palm and Siphoning Strike, with Siphoning Strike being the main one. Once you collect a few charges, you can consume them to power up abilities such as Falling Thunder and Charge Staff. That's what power charges are and what they do. Now that we know exactly how to get charges and how to use them, let's start by taking a look at the abilities we need for this build to work. First and foremost, the main ability here is Tempest Flurry. This ability should replace your normal attack, and it's the ability you want to spam to clear through everything. It's a quick combo ability and high mobility that deals massive damage, can shock the target, and its final strike can deal even more damage with a shocking bolt. This will also be highly enhanced through our passive skill tree, and combined with the correct aura buff, will be able to clear through entire packs with ease. The support gems on Tempest Flurry are Martial Tempo for increased attack speed, Crescendo for that final strike to hit twice, and Inspiration so you nullify any mana problems while spamming this. If you don't have any issues with your mana, then adding Conduction instead of Inspiration is really good, as it guarantees that you will shock your targets, making your Siphoning Strikes more reliable. Another big damage dealing ability you want is Storm Wave. This deals massive AoE damage in a line in front of you and has a great potential to shock your enemies, which will help you consume those charges with Siphoning Strike. This ability also helps out to clear out any dangerous mobs or bosses from a distance if it's not safe. Support gems on it are Magnified Effect for extra area of effect and Lightning Infusion for extra damage. Next two abilities are Siphoning Strike and Killing Palm, of course. Both of these abilities dash to your targets and have the potential to generate you a power charge. Unfortunately, dashing to random enemies will not be effective at all. What you want to do is shock your targets first and then use Siphoning Strike to consume their shock. Or use Killing Palm on enemies that are below 20 or 30% and have a blue orb on them. Both of those ways will guarantee you at least one power charge. By hitting everything with Tempest Flurry, you will notice that 80 or 90% of those mobs will die instantly, while the rest of them will either have the blue orb for Killing Palm or have a static shock on them, which you can Siphoning Strike them. The best way to generate charges on bosses, however, is Siphoning Strike. You spam Tempest Flurry on the boss until it gets shocked and then consume that shock with Siphoning Strike to get a charge. The main support gem on Siphoning Strike is Profusion, which has a 50% chance of generating an additional charge. And since we have Killing Palm to simply generate extra charges, you can go for something like Execute. Next, we'll go Falling Thunder and Charge Staff. These two are your big power charge spenders. Falling Thunder consumes your power charges to deal massive AoE damage in front of you, and Charge Staff transforms your quarterstaff into this lightsaber looking weapon that deals both melee and ranged damage, completely annihilating anything in front of it. Falling Thunder is good too, but as you can probably tell, the primary ability we want to consume our charges on is Charge Staff. Support gems on Falling Thunder, Ricochet for some chain lightning, Long Shot for that extra damage on range, and of course Perpetual Charge, which has a chance to not consume your charges when you're using it. And for Charge Staff, you can go for Innervate for extra damage and Conduction to guarantee your shocks. Now, before proceeding to other abilities, here are some ideas you can consider with your support gems. Personally, I added Conduction on my Charge Staff because I wanted to guarantee shock on bosses for a second Charge Staff. However, what also works equally as good is the following. You can swap Inspiration with Conduction on your Tempest Flurry, and add Perpetual Charge to Charge Staff instead of Falling Thunder. This means the Tempest Flurry will guarantee shocks, but it will cost a little bit more mana, and your Charge Staff will have a chance to not consume your charges, which will enable you to use it twice or more. Depending on your gear, level, and playstyle, both of these ways work. You just need to see which one makes more sense to you. Okay, so next up we have our main boss killing ability, Tempest Bell. In order for you to be able to use this ability, you need to generate 4 combo points. Not power charges, but combo points. These are generated by simply hitting the enemies, and we don't have any issue doing that with our lightning speed Tempest Flurry. Once you have 4 combo points, you will be able to drop down this massive bell, and when you start unloading your damage on it, it will resonate on the bell and multiply your damage outward. The gems you want to go for are Concentrated Effect for less range but more damage, Heavy Swing for even more damage, and Overabundance. And the last 2 are auras. We've got Herald of Thunder and Ghost Dance. With our passive skill tree, which we will discuss in a little bit, Herald of Thunder literally makes you a lightning god. It all ties down to having enemies shocked, which then this aura will cause you to release lightning bolts for massive AoE damage, killing things in your way without even touching them. Ghost Dance, on the other hand, is a very nice defensive boost. This aura periodically gains shrouds that convert into energy shield based on your evasion rating. A really good defensive option early on. If you manage to get level 2 support gems for Herald of Thunder, you can go with Maim and Blind for extra CC, or simply add any increase on lightning damage or range you have. And for Ghost Dance, you can go for Fast Forward. Now that we covered all abilities and support gems, let's take a look at the passive skill tree. The ascension we're going for is of course Invoker, with Sunder my enemies as priority node early levels into Lead Me Through Grace for extra spirit. We need this so we can be able to run our auras and support gems. How this works is very simple. For every 6 energy shield and 15 evasion on your chest piece, you gain 1 spirit. So you definitely want to prioritize high energy and evasion stats on your chest. For the rest of the tree, we're setting our priority into attack damage, attack speed, crit, and as much lightning damage as possible, following a straight line to flow like water into Essence of the Storm for our first lightning damage and shock chance, then working our way to some crit damage with Moment of Truth. From there, we pick up all dexterity nodes and grab Killer Instinct for more damage, and then General Electric and Harmonic Generator. Once you get that, you want to go all the way to the end to grab yourself your first jeweled socket. In these sockets, you can add something like lightning damage, crit, physical damage, or anything that makes sense to our build. We then move our way down to Endless Circuit and Wild Storm, and then we focus on getting Whirling Assault, Martial Artistry, and One with the Storm. At this point, you should notice a huge difference in your damage, both physical, speed, and lightning. So now we can either circle back around and pick up a few extra nodes to empower our crit, or work our way down for some extra damage and defenses. Either way, you want to get Coming Calamity for extra 50% lightning damage, then Enhanced Reflexes and Bestial Skin for some extra survivability before stacking up on dexterity and eventually getting Falcon Technique. This should be more than enough to complete Cruel Difficulty and even get into your first few maps. Regarding whether you want to stack on Dexterity or anything else on your normal nodes, it always depends on what is needed based on your support gems and gear you use. Dexterity is definitely your priority, especially since we got Falcon Technique, but respecking a few nodes here and there to Intelligence or Strength might be needed. Regarding the gear, there aren't any named pieces that I would recommend you to buy. However, a great quarterstaff to look for is anything with Gothic quarterstaff in the name. You can gamble or craft one, but the stats you're looking for in the staff are high physical damage, elemental, or lightning damage included if possible. and critical hit. The same things apply to all the other gear, but for the armor pieces we're looking for evasion rating and energy shield too. Apart from those two stats helping us with surviving longer and heavier fights, don't forget that the more evasion and energy we have on our chest piece, the more spirit we get due to our passive node called Lead Me Through Grace. A few extra good stats to consider on gear are dexterity, mana regen on kills, especially if you don't run inspiration on flurry, and of course all types of resistances are very welcome. Regarding the runes you want to put in your gear, you want to focus on offensive stats such as physical or lightning damage on the weapon, and either resistances or armor evasion and energy increases on your armor pieces. Lastly, let's take a look at the rotation. Spam Tempest Flurry as much as you want to clear out areas. You can use Killing Palm on any surviving mob or Siphoning Strike on anything that's shocked. Do that to generate 1 to 3 charges. We want to use these charges with Charged Staff. Nothing wrong with consuming just one charge by the way, but know that the more charges you have, the better your Charged Staff will be. Charges can give either duration, damage, or attack speed. Having all 3 will give you all 3. If you use it with one charge and then build up 2 more, you can use it again to extend the staff. Apart from Flurry and Charged Staff, you can also use Storm Wave in case you need strong ranged, and Tempest Bell for rare mobs. Regarding bosses though, you start with Storm Wave or Tempest Flurry until the boss is shocked, which will happen very fast due to our support gems and passive tree. Once it's shocked, you immediately use Siphoning Strike. Rinse and repeat if you want 3 charges, but don't forget that due to our support gems, Siphoning Strike might generate 2 charges instead of 1. Once you're happy with however many charges you have, use Charged Staff and drop the Tempest Bell on the boss. Spam Tempest Flurry on the bell and the boss will die. If it doesn't, then it will definitely be shocked again, so grab that charge, use the Staff and Bell to finish it off. And that's the fully detailed monk build for high-end leveling. I've tested with multiple monks and builds, and this one is by far the most fun I've had from Act 1 of Normal to Act 3 of Cruel. I really hope that this suits your style of play and this guide helped you out. If it did, consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel, as I will keep posting more Path of Exile 2 class guides and updates. Feel free to comment down below if you have any questions or thoughts regarding this build, and I'll do my best to reply to each one of you. Thank you for watching, and I'm gonna see you guys on the next one. Peace.